fact that they originally thought, oh, we're going up to get food because there's no way they'd send us all the way up that fucking hellhole, tells the visuals tell a massive part of that story and really, really help. One set that I really, really loved in 1917 that Wonder Woman didn't do it justice was the No Man's Land. So when they finally cross over and get through the barbed wire and they see like the fucking fully rotted corpse of a horse and bodies and the mud and the dirty water and the, you know, he slides down, puts his hand in a fucking body. I was fucking adamant when I was watching that film that the second guy was going to die or that he was going to be like lose a hand or something because he'd cut his hand and then that hand went in a dead body. I thought some kind of infection was going to get him. But that dead body, again, massively realistic. And I think every set that they go to doesn't feel like a set. It feels like an actual place. Like I said earlier, the trees they cut down with all the blossoms, like really, really beautiful. A small bit of beauty in this fucking war-torn place. Just all really, really good. Whereas I love Saving Private Ryan, and I think everything looks fine. It works. It does its justice. I think that final area where they hold the ground against the tanks, that does look like a set. Like those rocks don't look fully like it. It looks placed. It doesn't look natural. Whereas everything in 1917 looks natural. So that's why I kind of went in favor of 1917 because, again, like I said, with the characters we meet, the sets like kind of really elevate the journey that Schofield's going on, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point actually about the way it looks manufactured at the end of Saving Private Ryan. I think it does look too Hollywood and the sets look a little too well put together, whereas the 1917 ones, it looks like they kind of just stumbled upon it. And it looks like it was just there.
Look perfect, but I think everything outside of that can look a bit like, yeah, Hollywood.
Yeah. So we've got two categories left then. We've got next the music in both movies. Obviously, there's no fucking upbeat soundtracks in either of them. So how did you score this one? Because I don't know. This one was tough for me. I'll be honest. This one was tough.
Well, I 10-9. I went to 1917, and I don't know who did the soundtrack for 1917. I know John Williams did Saving Private Ryan, and while you can't really go wrong with John Williams, it's a John Williams score. You can never go wrong. It's consistent. It always hits the right emotional beats. But I think the lack of music in 1917 was way more impactful. Like, so it felt like I've said it many times already, but it felt like a very quiet movie. And whenever we got music, it felt needed. It felt like either a release or like added to the situation. It was used very sparingly, and it was used to, again, just using a phrase I've used many, many times, elevate what that character is going through. It's not consistent throughout. There's a lot of periods where it's silence. There's a lot of periods where it's just two people talking or one person running, even to no music. So when, like, there's a bit where I can't remember exactly when it fucking is. There's a bit where he's doing something and then piano starts playing and he just like, fuck, shit, yeah, I've not heard music in a while, and it's really, really impactful. So yeah, I love John Williams. The main theme to Saving Private Ryan is so inspires that kind of like hope and pain, but it's John Williams. It's consistent. For me to be marking down this film because it's John Williams feels odd, but it's not, because it's throughout the entire movie. It feels more normal and, again, Hollywood than impactful like 1917 does.
Yeah, I've actually gone the exact same. I went 10-9 in favour of 1917. I just looked it up then. The man that did the music for 1917 is someone called Thomas Newman, who I don't actually think I'm that familiar with. So I'm just quickly going through it as right now on the films he's done. He's done like Green Mile, American Beauty. Apparently he did stuff like Elemental, Skyfall, Spectre. So he's done, obviously, he's not an unknown by any stretch.
Sense considering it's Sam Mendes.
Yeah, he's done quite a lot. But yeah, I think less is more in the 1917 with the music, and I love the little bits when it comes in. It just exemplifies the scene because it makes those scenes feel so much more dramatic with the music added. Like when they first get to the bunker and it's like the tension that's building as they're walking in, and then it just cuts as they realize there's no one there and everyone's already gone. It just adds to the tension. And like you said, John Williams, he's incredible. He's obviously like the greatest ever. He did the fucking Superman score, for Christ's sake. That's the greatest movie score ever.
I mean, Star Wars.
He's probably top 10 at least. But yeah, like John Williams is always great, and I do like the music in Saving Private Ryan, but it does, for what the movie's trying to get across, like the horrors of war, it does feel a little bit too manufactured. Like with the music, it doesn't feel as great as it needs to be. Whereas, like we said, the lack of music sometimes in 1917 is better than having music, and it really builds on that isolation and the silence. It's like stresses it to the viewers, like how alone these guys are and the mission ahead. And I just think if you add music to some of those scenes, it kind of takes that away. So it's weird scoring a film high on music for having less, but like I said, less is more. So I went 10-9 in favour of 1917 as well.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan's got a lot of trumpets, and that just feels like a cliche war kind of thing to do.
Yeah. But John Williams is great. Let's not get that misconstrued. Like I said, Superman theme, greatest ever.
John, if you're watching, I apologise. I didn't mean to upset you or anything, but
all I'm saying is he came up with a Superman score, so
and Darth Imperial March, which I would argue better, but whatever.
I mean, you'd be wrong, but that's fair enough. Last category then. We have got the legacy. I think we both know where this is going. We've got the legacy of the movies. I mean, not beating around the bush. Saving Private Ryan to this day is considered one of the greatest like war movies of all time. It's considered one of Steven Spielberg's greatest movies. I think it's considered one of the biggest Oscar robberies of all time that it didn't win. I think Shakespeare in Love won instead, and people still talk about that as one of the biggest robberies in Oscars history, which is just absurd. It's just an all-time great movie, and I think 1917 is one that's already been kind of forgotten. And I don't know if that's because of the lack of star power in the main cast. Obviously, you've got these cameos from some big names, but like George McKay and Dean Chapman aren't exactly household names. And I don't know if that's a part of it, or the fact that Steven Spielberg is obviously a legacy into himself, and that helps Saving Private Ryan gain the remembering that people have for that. But yeah, it's like I say, it's one of the greatest war movies of all time, and people remember it as such. And no one seems like it's only been just over 4 years since 1917 came out, and it's already one that not too many people are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I completely forgot about it and whatever. I think when with Saving Private Ryan got Oscar snubbed, 1917 is seen like I didn't know this when I was looking up stuff about 1917, but a lot of people don't like it or have got this thing against it because it is the film that snubbed Parasite from winning. And obviously Parasite is a fantastic movie that absolutely everybody loved, but 1917 won over that. And I think
what in the Oscars it didn't.
Did it not? I thought it was
no.
the Oscars.
No, Parasite won for Best Picture at the Oscars because it was like a big deal that a foreign film had won.
What am I thinking of? It was one of the award things that it won for.
I know it was. I think it had by far the most nominations as well. I think.
Let me have a look because I remember reading that people were pissy about it. People are. No, I must have read it. People were pissed that 1917 lost to Parasite.
Yeah, I can imagine there's certain people that hate the fact that a foreign film won as well. That's not happened too often, I don't think. Like a non-English film winning Best Picture.
All right, well, my bad then. I look like a right,
At least I corrected you. We didn't just go through it like that was the thing.
Yeah, like usually happens. Yeah, but even it not winning makes. I think Parasite is the better movie, to be honest. But it's not as impactful as Saving Private Ryan. I don't think it has that staying power. as Saving Private Ryan. I think it's a much smaller, more emotional movie. But Saving Private Ryan has literally everything. It has those quiet moments. It has those really emotional gut punches. It has that big, strong action, but it's not action. Like I said, it's not action that you're rooting for. It's action that you kind of don't want to happen. You've got fantastic performances throughout. It's Steven Spielberg, so you know it's going to have staying power. So that's obviously a massive deal. It's got a massive legacy with that. Tom Hanks, unless it's revealed he was on Epstein's Island, then I'm pretty sure that's going to have lasting power forever. Like I said, every single member of that cast is stand out. And while I obviously scored 1917 for supporting cast, it's not got those two front runners that can carry a film, like that will entice people to come and watch it, not like a Tom Hanks movie can. And I think Saving Private Ryan, I think there's a reason why I'm like, I was so kind of scared to watch it. I've talked to you before about scared to watch certain films because of how hyped up they are and how well talked about they are and how well loved they are. And if you haven't watched them and you finally get around to watching them, you don't love them, you almost feel like, oh shit, there's like a pressure to be like, this is a good movie. And this one actually blew me. This one was actually better than I thought it was going to be. Even knowing how much people loved it, it really, really blew me away. Whereas 1917 is one that I've always heard is, oh yeah, it's good, you should watch it, rather than, oh yeah, it's fucking the gold standard for war movies. So yeah, I went 10 for Saving Private Ryan. Because, I mean, none of them are Oscar winners, apparently, so that's the better non-Oscar winner.
I know, that's shocking. At least 1917 lost to Parasite. And I was just looking then, when I looked it up to double check, I went trying to shit. But do you want to hear the nominees for Best Picture in the 2020 Oscars? This is probably the most stacked thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You got Parasite, Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Marriage Story. What the fuck? What a year that was.
Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, so it's not really that bad that it didn't win. Whereas Saving Private Ryan losing to Shakespeare in Love is absolutely fucking outrageous. And I also think, like I said earlier,
he didn't win Best Picture at BAFTA. I knew I'd read something, but it dominated with winning most awards when a lot of people thought that Parasite should have won some of the awards at 1917. I knew I'd read something, but it wasn't Oscars, so I'm still fucked up.
Yeah, you're still wrong. But yeah, I think, like I said earlier, that opening is like regarded as one of the best ever as well. So that obviously adds to the legacy and how it's remembered. Everyone, you talk to anyone about Saving Private Ryan, and one of the first things you'll talk about is the Omaha Beach scene. Like, it's almost impossible for that not to come up. So that helps the legacy. But yeah, I went 10-9 in favor of it as well. It was one of the easiest decisions out of them all, I think. Not for any fault of 1917, it's just not been remembered anywhere near as fondly. Yeah. And I don't even know if that's like a World War One thing, because World War One doesn't get quite as much like coverage in modern day. Like, no one talks about that one, or there's nowhere near enough like content focusing on that as there is World War Two. And I don't know if that's because it was the more modern one, but there's just not enough, not as much, should I say, like movies or TV shows covering the First World War for some reason. World War Two seems to be one that everyone focuses on. Maybe it's because it's Hitler and everyone knows him. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there we go. We've got a score much closer than I anticipated, actually, I think. But winning with 193 to 187 is Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. So it's only winning by 6, which is actually surprising. I thought it'd win by more than that.
For us, that's quite a big gap. Usually it's like 1 or 2.
Yeah, but when you think about how loved Saving Private Ryan is, I thought this would be a bigger gap, but 6.
I mean, I've got a rule on my letterbox that I don't rate things 5 unless I've seen them at least twice. And I watched Saving Private Ryan once. I was like, I'm breaking this fucking rule. That's a fucking 5-star movie.
It's incredible. I mean, I think they both are, which is why it was good to do these against each other. I mean, next week we've got a very, very, very different episode.
One that I'm looking forward to for you to experience.
Yeah, because I'd seen both of these movies in the past, whereas you only watched them both for the first time in the last couple of months. So
Oh yeah, it's a bit of a flip, isn't it? That
yeah.
and what we're doing next week isn't really your area of expertise, or not even an area that you've looked in. I'm just going to
not
read.
very often. Not very often.
I'm just going to read.
The equivalent to next week will be like me putting 2 fucking musicals on for us to do.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
But not South Park, the musical.
No, I mean, I love 1917. Like watching it, I'd text you saying, like I said, I'd text you saying, this might be harder than I originally thought. Like Saving Private Ryan's got a good contender. It's a very different movie. The fact that Saving Private Ryan's so big and has everything, whereas 1917 is such a repeated, a quieter, more emotional journey. It's almost unfair, but because of how similar the plots is, it made sense to do it this way. But I think you can't deny Saving Private Ryan's absolute behemoth of a movie.
No, it's a deserving winner.
Also, we didn't talk about it in Legacy, but 1917 doesn't have a porn parody. Saving Ryan's Privates does. I mean, Saving Private Ryan has Saving Ryan's Privates.
yeah, it does. That's true. Not that I've seen it. I imagine you've got it on DVD somewhere. It'll be on that shelf behind you, probably.
VHS.
Now you're showing your age. But yeah, that brings another episode to an end then. Like I said, we've already got next week planned. We're ahead of the curve this time. We know what we're doing.
We're still filming this one day before, so we need to get even more ahead of the curve because we panic every week at the moment.
Yeah, but this week we've got excuses because it was my birthday. But yeah, we know what we're doing next week. We've got that lined up. It'll be a good one, I hope. I haven't seen either film yet, so fingers crossed.
They are loved by most people. In fact, one of them, if it helps you, one of them is, it was on Twitter the other day, Leonardo DiCaprio shown it to...
Oh, I saw that. I watched the video on YouTube.
To convince him to watch the movies from that studio. So if that doesn't make you want to watch them...
Yeah, I watched that YouTube video. So that definitely piqued me interest. So yeah, so we've got that ready for next week. Very, very different to the movies we've done now. But if you guys liked what you listen/watch, then please feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you're watching on YouTube, or similarly on any of the podcast services. Subscribe to the feed and leave us a nice little rating. If you want to find us anywhere, our details are underneath. On X and Letterboxd. You're actually smashing the fucking life at me on Letterboxd this year, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm well behind.
Yeah, I think 17 as of recording this.
That's like one a day. That's fucking sick for you.
Yeah, it is.
I think I'm on 8.
Yeah, 17, which last January as a whole, I watched 14. So I've got a week off coming up after tomorrow, so I'm gonna fucking smash some more.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I just had 4 days off because it's for my birthday, and one of them I spent extremely hungover. I haven't watched shit. I mean, I watched these, but like I've not watched. I think the last thing I watched before this was I watched The Fabelmans like mid last week. Like I've watched quite a lot by now, but I'm really behind this year already, so that's fun.
I've only rewatched two films out of the 17. Everything else has been a new film for me to watch as well, so it's been good.
Happy days. You're on a hot streak for movies there.
Not going to beat Dan, but whatever.
No, fuck no. That guy watches I'm sure he watches stuff in his sleep somehow. But yeah, well, that brings this episode to an end, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, we've got a good one next week, so keep your eyes peeled for when Nathan reveals those. Although he's kind of given a bit of a clue anyway. And if you've seen the Martin Scorsese Leo thing, then you might already know. Not that I imagine many people follow Letterboxd on YouTube, so yeah, very true, very true. But yeah, so we'll be back next week, and we hope to see you there. Peace out.